Can you discuss some natural treatments? And when we talk about natural treatments, either with alone or with combination of conventional treatments, is that often a good idea?
Well, if patients get that green light to wait and monitor the situation, then there's a variety of things we can do. We attack it from different angles. We control their diet, we control their metabolic landscape, we increase their immune system. There's a lot of different things you can do. But when you're talking about it in conjunction with conventional medicine, it's crucial. I think it's crucial to do it before and at the same time and after, right? And really, when you're talking about this, I mean, the overarching thing that people need to understand is that there's a lot of science that gets basically completely ignored when it comes to the conventional model of treatment, right? And there's three main things. And the first one is cell metabolism, right? Cancer cells make energy differently. Like, there's a big debate in the cancer science, amongst cancer scientists, that whether cancer is first a metabolic problem that creates genetic issues, or if it's a genetic problem that creates metabolic issues, right? But both sides agree that they're both a component, right? But the most important thing, and this is what people really have to understand, is that the metabolic aspects of cancer are almost completely ignored by conventional medicine. When you look at the list of chemotherapy drugs, what you see is there are substances that interfere with DNA and cell replication, some hormone receptors. But when you look at it overall, the overarching characteristic that almost all cancer cells share, right, which is upregulation of glycolysis. Basically, it uses sugar, and it has basically deranged cell metabolism. It makes energy in a deranged way. That's a vulnerability of cancer that we don't really target. So, people really have to understand this, because essentially, when you're not targeting that, you're only targeting cancer with half the equation. The second thing has to do with oxygen levels. And oxygen multi-step therapy, it's a therapy that you inhale, you breathe oxygen, just around 90% oxygen, while increasing your heart rate. And what's important about that is that the scientists who created this protocol, what they found is things like surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation all decrease your plasma oxygen, right? This is the oxygen that's dissolved into the fluid portion of your blood. This feeds a lot of your cells. It also decreases oxygen uptake because it shrinks those blood vessels, the smallest blood vessels in your body, that feed a bulk of the cells in your entire body. But this is the most amazing thing. I mean, it's not amazing. It's actually kind of shocking, is that radiation therapy, for it to be the most effective, it needs good tumor oxygenation, right? So what do we see with patients? We run them through a series of treatments: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, another round, chemotherapy, radiation. All of these things are lowering your oxygen levels, oxygen uptake. But radiation requires, right? It really needs oxygen in order to get the most effect, right? And we wonder why it doesn't work in some cases, right? We wonder why people's bodies don't make it through the treatment. And this is one of the things that's, there are some places that use hyperbaric oxygen chambers. That's one way to do it. But by and large, these things are basically ignored in most of society, in most of the standard model of care. And the third one is diet, right? Because when you look at cancer, there's the role of cell metabolism, the issues with cell metabolism and inflammation are really keys. That's a huge part that stimulates cancer growth. And the foods that you put into your body directly affect this, right? Through blood sugar, through inflammation, right? If you eat one kind of food that's highly inflammatory, you're going to be creating a lot of inflammation in your body. Inflammation feeds cancer through growth factors, through suppressing the immune system. I mean, there's just a variety of things. So, I mean, I've had patients who come in who were told to eat whatever they can, just as long as they can get it down, because they need more calories. I've had patients that were even told to eat ice cream, right? And that's really, when you look at it, that's a complete lack of awareness of nutritional science and cancer cell biology, right? Because cancer does use sugar. It relies on sugar, right? So let's say you eat ice cream versus a natural coconut oil, for instance. Let's use that comparison. You eat ice cream, your blood sugar goes up, right? That ice cream, the sugar, it doesn't come with any anti-cancer chemicals. It's not like carrot juice, right? It doesn't come. It usually comes with other like pro-inflammatory fats, for instance, right? You increase blood sugar, cancer cells, they have more glucose transporters. They usually have more insulin receptors, right? So they get a big burst of fuel, powers the metabolic process. They spit out a lot of metabolic waste into that space around the cell, and that's associated with tumor aggression and the growth of blood vessels, angiogenesis, right? Tumor blood vessels. It also helps to hide the cancer cell from immune detection, right? If you were to do the same thing with coconut oil, let's say you fed the body with ketones, let's say, from oils, you're not going to get that kind of effect, right? And even in that example, I mean, something as simple as coconut milk-based ice cream that's sweetened with stevia, for instance, just that one little variable. You're taking out a lot of the inflammation, you're taking out the blood sugar spike, right? A lot of these things. So people don't know, a lot of people just don't know these things, right? A lot of this information, it's not spread across our society, very well. And, it's important to know these things when you're getting treatment. And almost more important is for people to really spread this kind of information to people who don't have cancer, because you really have to understand these things before you ever get a diagnosis. If you do, that really, it allows you to be intellectually and emotionally prepared, because you said that people are panicky. They don't know what to do. They say, well, I don't know how to drive this vehicle, so hey, doctor, you drive it. But PhDs and top oncologists also disagree. There's a lot of room for interpretation. So people really need to know these things so they can be prepared to make the best decision.